What's going on, everybody? Big Palmer here. Just kidding, you can call me Ryan. Today, I'm going to talk to you about calories and macronutrients. I'm sure a lot of you have heard these words. You have a general idea of what they are, but you don't really know how calories and macros make up your diet. And you probably don't know how to use these numbers to build your own diet. So today, I'm going to talk about what calories are, what macronutrients are, how to calculate them into a diet, and then I'm going to go over a couple food labels and show you how to add these up and create a diet for yourself. So at the very basic level, a calorie is just a unit of energy. Our bodies use these macronutrients and calories through various energy transfers and metabolic pathways to create energy to sustain life, right? That's at the very basic level. I'm not going to get too scientific here. But when talking calories is really just an arbitrary number, right? It doesn't really give you too much information. It doesn't really give you too much bang for your buck when understanding how you're going to feel and how you're going to progress when trying to, change and improve your physique. So macronutrients are actually what makes make us up calories. There are three macronutrients. You have protein, carbohydrates, just kidding, and fats. Those are your three macronutrients. There's also micronutrients. Those are your vitamins and minerals, but we're not going to talk about that today. When talk about calories, it's simply macronutrients, which make that up as a whole total number, right? So each macronutrient, right, the proteins, carbs, and fats, they are each given a caloric value. So, for instance, protein, 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. It's the same for carbohydrates. 1 gram of carbohydrates is also equal to 4 calories. And then fats are actually 9 calories per gram of fat. So a little more calorically dense, calorically dense, right? So that's why if you get ice cream, it's going to have a lot more calories than if you're going to have just a regular protein shake. So let's go over some food labels to try to get an understanding of how the calories add up. I've got a couple items here. I've got a jug of protein. I'm not sponsored by Redcon. I'm just this is what I use though. So if you look at the back of the protein jug, you're going to see you have 25 grams of protein, right? So if you're going to try to count the calories, how many calories of protein you're going to have, 25 grams of protein times 4 will give you 100 calories. There's also trace amounts of fat at half a gram per serving and 3 grams of carbs. Personally, when I'm building a diet for myself or a client, I don't typically count the trace macronutrients. I count the main macronutrient of what the food I'm giving them is. So if I was going to put a protein shake in someone's diet, and I said have 25 grams of protein, I would be talking about just the protein. I wouldn't calculate the carbs or the fats that are included in that. Some people do. Not that it's wrong, but personally myself, I don't count those into the total amount of calories I'm going to give somebody. The next item I have here is just a jar of Teddy's All Natural Smooth Peanut Butter. This is one of my favorites. This has 16 grams of fat, right? The trace values in this are a little higher. You have 7 grams of carbs and then 8 grams of protein. So to figure this out, you would do 16 times 9, right? Because fats, we know fats. Each gram of fat has a value or caloric value of 9. That would give us, if you're looking at me looking over here, I just have some notes down. That's going to give you, I didn't calculate it, so let me pull out my calculator real quick and tell you. So 16 times 9, it's 144 calories for 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is going to give you 144 calories from just the fat. The last item I have next to me is a bag of Uncle Ben's brown rice. And we'll look on the back of this and we'll see that it is 39 grams of carbs. Again, trace values, you have 3 grams of fat and then 5 grams of protein. So 39 grams of carbs in just 1 cup or 140 grams weighted for a serving size, right? So if you want to figure out the calories of that, again, you just go 36 times 4, because there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. You get 144 calories for that. So that's just a quick way to understand how many calories you have in whatever food you're consuming at the time. And sometimes you might not always have a food label. Like if you're gonna have a chicken breast, they don't typically have a nutritional label on them. A quick little tip to figure that out is I have an app on my phone. It's called Calorie King. I've been using this for years. It's a quick little easy screen. You type in whatever you want to search up. For instance, right now I have potato in there, and it gives you a whole list of different types of potatoes. I'm going to click on sweet potato. You can punch in the quantity. So in this case, let's say it's ounces, and I'm going to have 5 ounces of sweet potato. I punch that in, and then it tells me that is 29.4 grams of carbs, right? That's just a quick, easy tool to help you calculate macronutrients and calories for yourself. So for myself and my clients, when I'm creating a diet for someone, I don't typically write out the amounts of rice or oatmeal or some other various food groups in the diet. I usually tell them to have 25 grams of carbs from white rice or 25 grams of carbs from oatmeal. And I do this because every bag or box of rice or oats that you get have a little bit different values, just the processing from how they make the food. And so I don't want to tell someone to have 1 cup of rice, where if they have a brown rice versus a white rice, the values might be a little different. So what I do is I tell them to have 25 grams of carbs from rice. In this case, I'm going to go over how to calculate that using just a bag of Uncle Ben's brown rice. So, and I'm going to put the little formula up on the screen here because I know it's going to be kind of hard to visualize this and follow along. But for right now, I'm going to show you what we would do here. So if I told you to have 25 grams of carbs from brown rice, you could have your bag, and you'll see up at the very top in the corner there, try to get rid of this glare, so serving size is 140 grams right there, right? 1 cup or 140 grams. And you also know that this bag is 39 grams of carbs per serving. So how do you know how to have 25 grams, right? We know that 140 grams or 1 cup is equal to 39 grams of carbs, but you need to have less than that. So a very easy formula, and I did write this one down so I can talk to it right now. A very easy formula to figure this out is you're going to divide the serving size, weight in grams, which in this case is 140 grams. So the serving size is 140 grams. You're going to divide that by the total amount of carbs per serving, which is 39. And that is going to equal 3.888889, right? So once you get that figure, that 3.8 is actually, there are, per each gram of carb, that's going to weigh 3.8 grams, right? So on a food scale, if you put 3.8 grams in a Tupperware container or a plate if you're fancy, that's going to be 1 gram of carb. So now that we have that information, you then take the 3.8 and multiply it by how many carbs you want. In this case, we said 25. So 3.8 times 25 grams is going to give you 95 grams weighed. So if you want to have 25 grams of Uncle Ben's wild or whole grain brown rice, you would need to put 95 weighted grams on the food scale into your Tupperware dish. And that's how you calculate 25 grams of carbs from that source. It'd be the same formula for oatmeal or any other food group that you want to use. But that is how you would understand to get 25 grams of weighted, or 25 grams of carbs to eat for that meal. All right, just to kind of tie this all together and give you a very basic example of putting macros into calories. If you're following a calorically restricted diet, or if you're counting calories, this is going to be a good example for you here. Very general, but let's just say someone is following a 1,000 calorie diet a day, right? 1,000 calories. Let's say you have 3 meals a day. You would probably divide those 3 meals around 300 calories. Just to make things simple, this meal is actually going to be a total of 326 calories. So a very easy way to kind of fit that mold with your new understanding of macros. You could break that meal down to 25 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and then 14 grams of fat, right? I use 14 grams of fat just because it's typically 1 serving of fat. So just kind of recap on the math. 25 grams of protein times 4 equals 100 calories. 25 grams of carbs times 4 equals another 100 calories. That's 200 calories. And then 14 grams of fat times 9 equals 126. So add that all up, 326 calories. You have that meal, you have 2 of those meals, maybe one for lunch, and then one for dinner, and then with another breakfast, you could be right around your 1,000 calorie mark. So I hope that helps you kind of get a better understanding of what calories are, what macronutrients are, and how they kind of tie into the bigger picture of things. If you enjoyed this video, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about it. Remember to subscribe and keep following along for more videos like this. Thanks.